Hi everyone, welcome to Illustrious Media. My name is Fushel, and tonight we're going to have a quick look at the news that just broke yesterday or today about the new Netflix series that's going to be made on the Three Body Problem series of novels, originally by Chinese sci-fi writer Liu Cixin. First off, just this writer is one of the quite possibly the most famous and successful sci-fi writer from China. Just for this novel series, the Three Body Problem novel series, featuring the series is called the Remembrance of Earth's Past series, and it features Three Body Problem, The Dark Forest, and Death's End. That's the English names, and they're originally written in Chinese and then got translated over by several authors stateside. And it's a quick look at the cover for Three Body Problem, or Santi, as in how it's pronounced in Mandarin. And so now I'll come back to the Wikipedia article periodically, but let's just get right into it. From Variety, so the headline goes: Three Body Problem series from David Benioff, D.B. Weiss, and Alexander Wu at Netflix. So you guys know David Benioff and D.B. Weiss from Game of Thrones are the two that adapted that entire series. And then Alexander Wu is also of HBO fame, I believe, right? True Blood. So let's just talk about the elephant in the room real quick. This is David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, and they have a bit of a mixed legacy with regards to Game of Thrones. They started out pretty strong. The show was going very well. It was, the most successful HBO series for a time, and then season 8 happened. And, for various reasons, which we'll go over in a bit, it was a rushed process. And, a lot of people, myself included, were very unhappy with the result. So that out of the way, this is definitely something we're going to discuss a little bit in down below. But with that, let's just go right into just checking out this article real quick. There's actually a lot of stuff here, so that's why usually I summarize a few, but this is why I want to kind of read it a little bit, more in detail. Netflix has ordered a drama series based on the award-winning Chinese book series, The Three Body Problem, with David Benioff and D.B. Weiss and Alexander Wu set to write and executive produce. The series order covers all 3 books in the trilogy, The Three Body Problem, The Dark Forest, and Death's End, all of which were written by Liu Cixin. They tell the story of humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. Netflix struck a deal with the Three Body universe and Yuzu Group for the rights to produce the English language adaptation of the books. Okay, so a couple things there. First of all, I'm really glad that they did. The creator of the series did set up the Three Body universe as a commercial entity on its own, which is definitely very good business sense in this day and age. And so, so this next bit I'll discuss a bit more in detail, but the rights to produce the English language adaptation of the books. So now I know some of y'all who are hitting my channel are, Asian American actors, creators, or people who are interested in Asian American issues and representation in Hollywood. So this already raises a little bit of a red flag, because we've seen what happens when they do these English language adaptations. It's kind of code for basically no Asian faces need to be seen. And that's kind of the cynical and realistic side of me that's saying that right now. And this is, we're early in the article. There's definitely more to come that gives reason to give me hope. But this is definitely one of the red flags that do pop up, because we've seen what happens with something like, Ghost in a Shell. And then you have the side that will say, well, you sold the rights, so you have no right to say, how it gets adapted and such and such. So I don't know the details how this deal has played out, and this article doesn't really shed too much light on that. But let's keep going. So we'll talk about this in a bit. Liu Cixin's trilogy is the most ambitious science fiction series we've read, taking readers on a journey from the 1960s until the end of time, from life on our pale blue dot to the distant fringes of the universe. Benioff and Weiss said, "We look forward to spending the next years of our lives bringing this to life for audiences around the world." The project boasts an all-star lineup behind the camera, In addition to Benioff, Weiss, and Wu, Rian Johnson serves as executive producer along with Brad Pitt and Rosamund Pike. Rian Johnson's, I don't know, with what he did on Star Wars, I have no idea. I don't know how much respect he's going to bring to this whole process. But looks like there's enough like other big names on the table that maybe, if he has some city ideas, it just gets canned. Author Liu and accomplished sci-fi writer Ken Liu, no relation from what I can tell. Actually, Ken Liu's from my hometown, Lanzhou, kind of my hometown in my home province back in China, Gansu province. And just real quick, I want to put up his Wikipedia page right here. Yep, Lanzhou, China. So he's won some awards for his own work, which I bought one and I have yet to go through it. Benioff and Weiss executive produced under the Big Head, Low Head banner, along with the company's newly installed president, Okay, those are not very... well, actually, let's go through it. Bernadette Caulfield, Johnson, Ram, Bergman, and Nina Rodriguez. Executive produced via T Street Productions. Pitt executive producers along with Dee Dee Gardner and Jeremy Kleiner for Plan B Entertainment. And Rosamund Pike and Roby Uniacke, I guess, executive produced for Primitive Streak. Ling Qi, chairman of the Yuzu Group and the Three Body Universe, and Zhao Zhilong, vice president of the Three Body Universe, will also executive produce. So here's a note. Here's basically a look of encouragement. We do see the original owners of the property are involved. Now, executive produce can mean a variety of things. It can just mean lending a bit of a consultation. It can mean having financial backing in it, which this is quite probable. It can mean also, more involved, but you see, I don't know, like they seem pretty tangential, so I'm not quite certain. And also, like, the dynamic of the deal could have been that, like, if they're gonna buy your rights, then it's probably pretty much like, tied up in there that they get to have they gotta have more of a creative final say, Benioff and Weiss that is, and not the original creators or the owners. That's kind of how that stuff works. It's a privilege to be adapting one of the great masterpieces of Chinese science fiction, Wu said. The Three Body Problem trilogy combines so many things I love: rich, multi-layered characters and true existential stakes, all told as an elegant and deeply human allegory. I'm thrilled to kick off my partnership with Netflix with this accomplished creative team. So, encouraging because Wu is an Asian American creator and writer and showrunner, producer, whatnot, and so I'm hoping that he has, he can bring some more, that Asian representation in this, frankly, very Asian, very Chinese sci-fi story is not going to be overlooked or glossed over or given basically a pittance or like what they call a porcelain vase treatment, because that would be absolute bullshit. And by very Chinese, I mean that the first chapter of the first book, which I went through, and I'm going to spoil a little bit here, okay, takes place in the 60s during the Cultural Revolution. So very fucking specific. And, I don't know how they would try to swing unless they omit that kind of stuff completely. I don't know how they would swing without actually putting, Chinese or Chinese American or Asian faces, but definitely it should be Chinese faces actually in this to start. Anyways, so the Three Body Problem marks the first project Benioff and Weiss are attached to write at Netflix since the duo previously created HBO's Game of Thrones, signed an overall deal at Netflix reportedly worth 9 figures. The new show is no doubt the type of ambitious genre programming Netflix hoped would come from the deal. As fantasy drama, Game of Thrones proved to be a worldwide hit and wrapped up its run last year after 8 seasons and numerous awards and accolades. And then Wu is also currently under an overall deal with Netflix, which he signed earlier this year. He most recently co-created and served as showrunner on the Terror Infamy and AMC, which told a supernatural horror story set in an internment camp for Japanese Americans during World War II. His other credits includes True Blood, Manhattan. I didn't see either of those. And the HBO movie adaptation of The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. I have the greatest respect for and faith in the creative team adapting The Three-Body Problem for television audiences, says Cixin, the author. I set out to tell a story that transcends time and confines of nations, cultures, and races, one that compels us to consider the fate of humankind as a whole. It is a great honor as an author to see this unique sci-fi concept travel and gain fandom across the globe, and I'm excited for new and existing fans all over the world to discover the story on Netflix. Okay, so a couple of things here. Now, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'll just put it that way. I'm not overjoyed or excited, not because I don't have, I'm not a fan of the material. Is one of the, I have yet to read all 3 books. I've only read partially and very little of the first book, but I understand what it means when a book like this has won the Hugo and got nominated they won the Hugo Award for the best novel, and it got nominated for the Nebula Award for best novel. So those are 2 of the West's highest awards for sci-fi, science fiction, sci-fi novels and stuff, and it also won the Chinese sci-fi Yinghe Award or Galaxy Award. Yinghe is the Chinese word for galaxy, and so it has a lot of street cred in terms from the literary world, from the science fiction genre. So there's several things that so in the sense that this is a great property, I'm optimistic, and I think Netflix has shown that it's more than willing to just park a money truck in front of production and just have at it, And so I don't think one of the pros of this is that it is from Netflix. Netflix has hit and misses with sci-fi, but I enjoyed Bright, but a lot of people thought it was shit. So whatever, that Will Smith that Will Smith orc one, but it's so I'm not concerned that it's going to get underfunded, because that's usually going to be a really bad time with sci-fi when there's not enough money to do all the awesome effects and the visuals and the production. And I'm cautiously optimistic because the original team or the original owners are involved as executive producers, and one of the showrunners is Asian American, who's going to be frankly watching out for Asian American representation, hopefully, and doing something like basically not allowing what happened with Peter Shinkoda on Jeff Loeb. You can check out the other that video up here. And so I'm optimistic in that there's that kind of dynamic going on. And in terms of now, I might have a few reasons to be optimistic, and I'll highlight those as I go through. I'm just trying to get the news out, so I'm not really, I didn't really outline too much for this. But what has me cautious is that there hasn't been a great track record of Western adaptations of Eastern properties, and now, especially when it comes to actual Asian actors and actresses who don't get a whole lot of roles written for them, who are frankly here's another video I made about the catch-22 of Asian actors in Hollywood, is that as a writing student at a film school in Los Angeles, being taught by an actual Hollywood produced writer with studio credits under his belt, I was literally told to not even imagine my main characters as Asian leads. We're not talking about, taking another existing character that was created and turning it, into an Asian character. We're talking about something I created completely original on my own and imagined as an Asian character, and I brought it into the story idea, and I was told, no go, don't even go there because these characters don't sell. Okay? And so you have that going on where Asian actors and actresses are stifled from even getting any real opportunities generated for them. And this is one of the modern masterpieces of sci-fi from China by Chinese author. So frankly, if there's ever a project to basically help jumpstart the careers of a group of young Chinese or Chinese American or Asian American actors and actresses, this will be it. And frankly, if I were doing this, it will make perfect sense, and it will make actually financial sense given the fame this book has everywhere, especially in China. And Netflix wants to make good with the Chinese audience. So I'm hoping that means more, like some of the major, if not the major leads should be Chinese or Chinese American or Asian at least. However, given Hollywood's track record of this kind of thing, and, like, there's always some sort of Weasley thing that you do where it's like, oh, well, like here, we're going to showcase Chinese language and culture and even use the damn language in a case like the Firefly series, but never show the Asian faces as the main leads, or they're going to be one-dimensional side characters, sidekicks. That, to me, would stink like shit, honestly. I wouldn't, frankly, that would be a huge turnoff. Okay, so and that's kind of my biggest concerns going forward. And because, again, this isn't about quote-unquote identity politics per se, because I'm not saying that Asians or Chinese people should be getting things that we didn't create. This is something that's created and originated by a Chinese author. So, I'm hoping that the involvement of Asian American, like, production talent in this will actually mean that Asian American actors and talent get a fair shot, get a gig that can help them jumpstart their career so they can get casting more lead roles. Because that's what happens, when you're like when you don't even get the first job, it's very hard to get promoted to a second job. It's very hard to have a resume that's compelling enough that gets you more opportunities down the line. Now, the other things that have me kind of a little bit, let's just say not super confident is Benioff and Weiss. And already you see down below in these comments, people are making jokes already about the season. It's like, especially in Entertainment Weekly, oh my God, these guys are kind of merciless. Nope. After that disgusting ending on Game of Thrones, they need to be working right next to me at UPS. Wow. How on earth are they ever allowed to work in the entertainment industry after what they did to GOT? Two rich dudes who never had to work a day in their lives, yada yada. Okay, so a lot of people in the comments are not having a whole lot of faith here, and I don't blame them. Okay, they ran, frankly, they ran Game of Thrones into the ground in season 8, and a lot of people say, well, it's because they ran out of actual source material, they ran out of this, they ran out of like the books, they went past the books. Maybe, and that is an argument you can make. However, you got to realize these are supposed to be. But based on the interviews they gave, later, where it kind of exposed them as like and there's reams and reams of YouTube videos of people criticizing on this. It's like, I'm not sure that I buy that, okay? Because what was happening at the time was that they were getting, they were at the height of their fame. And that's how it works in Hollywood, where you have a lot of heat on you. Like fucking THR, the Hollywood Reporter magazine, has this thing called heat vision. So they want to strike when their iron's the hottest, if you will, and they were like lining up with Star Wars and Lucasfilm and shit. So they really want to be done. I mean, you could have easily like spread season 8 to a full season, easily, maybe even 2 seasons. And I have my own ideas how that could have been done well, but just to say full season, it's not like HBO would have shortchanged them on the money, or shortchange them on the production money or the production budget. They have earned, I mean, they could write their own check at that point at HBO. But there's a reason why they didn't do it. They wanted to rush through it because they saw a bigger opportunity with Disney, with Lucasfilm. So, and that's what I think happened, okay? Because it's just like the storytelling in season 8 was just so incompetent. I could see blatant opportunities that could have been explored to do interesting stuff. Like just off the top of my fucking head, okay? That entire season could have been, like the survivors from Winterfell just like making a trek from north to south and with the Night King and the White Walkers on their heels, nipping out their heels, routing them, taking them, like hitting them where they least expected, or they're just going to be constantly like completely exhausted, and they have to make it to the south and then somehow make a stand. Okay, that could have been a great season. It would have been brutal. It would have you would have seen like the landscape change episode after episode from summer and warm to winter and desolate. Would have been just a bold move. They didn't do it, not because they didn't have the money, not because they have the support or the creative freedom. They won it, I think, because they wanted another opportunity down the line that's bigger. So that calls into question, frankly, their creative integrity. And then you have someone like Rian Johnson, who has shown that he doesn't really respect source material very much. Who went way out of his way to subvert expectations on something that he didn't create. So, and some people throw some comments at me saying, "Oh, I'm toxic because I'm toxic." But here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing: no audience owes you fucking money. They don't owe you their time. It's incumbent upon you, the creator and the artist, to earn that trust, to earn their time and earn their money. That's just the way it is. That's the way you have to see it. Frankly, if you're a storyteller, you shouldn't be taking anybody and anything and anybody's time or money for granted. Okay, so that's kind of like my misgivings, my kind of, my discomfort. And here's the thing: I could be projecting. I could be, this could be complete bullshit. What was coming out of my mouth based on what might be happening with the project. However. And don't get me wrong, it's not like I want this to be 100%, 10 out of 10, all Chinese or Asians or Asian Americans. No, I don't think this book, based on the way, like the author imagined it, just from what I'm reading here, imagined as such. However, if there's, if not for a project like this where a full Asian lead or full Asian male lead or full Asian actress or something can become one of the leading heroes, then when is it the time? Right? And the other thing that kind of gives me a bit of hope is that this is a humongous brand presence in China already, for the notoriety and the pride that this thing won so many awards, this book series. So, and Netflix obviously want to remain on a market of 1.4 billion in their good graces. So if they do something that's stupid or disrespectful, untoward, and again, even now, Chinese audiences are calling out like bullshit where they stick a pretty, Chinese actress face for like a brief minute in like something like fucking, Iron Man 3, or they actually shot an entire separate sequence for that movie, but just for China. Or like in like one of these other, major blockbusters like John Z and I think, was it like Godzilla recently? No, they're not gonna put up with that shit. They're done. Especially if you pull this on a property like this, where there's a lot of like kind of like interest and pride national pride in terms of like, this is one of our like major IPs that we created as Chinese sci-fi, and then you do that and you essentially, make Chinese people invisible. They're not gonna like that, and trust me. Okay, they will turn on Netflix like that. So I don't think Netflix wants to do that, and I'm hoping that frankly they're not going to be induced just by fear. I feel like this is something that frankly, again, if you're not going to allow Asian talent to flourish in a project like this, then when are you going to do it? And my final note is that this is going to go to the to the theme of some of my other videos, is that you see Asian American writers and creators, you see the ground shifting beneath your feet. This is original content that came out of China that they're adapting now. Okay? High concept, sci-fi, epic sci-fi, original shit. Meanwhile, you've been taught by Hollywood, by screenwriting teachers, by the entire system to be neither seen or heard, frankly. And even if you get hired as writers and creators, as you've seen with Jeff Loeb and what happened with with basically the Asian characters in Daredevil in Iron Fist, and just a complete dismissal, okay, of, just the characters, as well as the writer's concerns of bringing some more dimension to the Asian characters. You understand? You see you see what's happening? Chinese creators, they weren't looking for Hollywood's permission. Chinese writers, they weren't looking for other people's permission. They took and have agency to create themselves their own stuff. Put themselves as the main leading characters in their own stories. And Hollywood, in this case, doesn't care. It's just like, okay, we'll take it. Now, again, my concern is that they will, frankly, whitewash the cast or rather severely marginalize Asian on-screen talent. But this is what I want. But you see the tide is changing. The owners, the IP company, the Three Body Universe is a company. They have a hand in this. In the least, they're making money off this thing, like directly. And so if you're Asian American creator, can you really afford to be still of the mindset that you need to be marginalizing yourself in the stuff you create and the stuff you build? What is stopping you now going into the future come 2020, knowing that with the reception of the global audience of full Asian properties like Ghost of Tsushima and Black Myth Wukong and this, do you really want to be like caught flat-footed? Because the paradigm is shifting. Okay? Do you really want to just be the little sideshow like writer who's given a little bit here and that's all the permission you ever given yourself to do anything? Or do you want to create something where you're the motherfucking owner and you can be eventually in a position to create opportunities for yourself and everybody else and going straight to the market? Because the time is now. Hell, the fucking time is like 3 years ago to get started on this shit. This is out because it takes a long time to really effectively build a good IP, build good stories. And don't worry about starting small, because Star Wars started for George Lucas when he was age 12. Batman, DC, Marvel, when these characters in comic books first started, they were like being sold for 5 or 10 cents at the drugstore that you pick up when you're getting your ice cream or candy or soda on the way home from school. Except now you have social media. Now you have a lot more direct access to talent, to Asian talent who might be interested in helping you out. Now you can get a lot of this stuff down quickly. But the thing is, you're gonna have to put down your time. You're gonna have to start thinking about this in an alpha-minded mindset. That's all I can really say, is that you're no longer looking for permission from Hollywood to create high-level, high-grade, high-concept shit that features you, starring someone that looks like you. You can't be still focused on what Hollywood wants you to do. Because have you seen with how Hollywood, how petty and vindictive and superficial and fucking downright criminal, frankly, with what happened with Weinstein and Les Moonves, how fucked up some of these people are, and you're looking to them for guidance? No. See, the last thing I want to do is for Asian creators to get passed over, okay? Because there's a time right now, you have a chance not to be just someone who's always following other people's lead or always working underneath somebody else. You have a chance to create your own shit that you own, that you can dominate, and you can push directly to the market, to the audience, because the audience doesn't care. They just want good content. And I don't mean you have to create shit just for Asian characters. No. I myself am creating something. I'm creating IPs that can star like anybody and everybody. But I'm gonna definitely work to give Asian actors and actresses more shots at becoming lead actors, lead talent, lead characters, because I know they're not getting that as much anywhere else. And I know nobody else is really helping us to do this very much. So thanks everyone for joining me for this news alert on the Game of Thrones showrunners to adapt the sci-fi epic Three Body Problems into a Netflix series. And yeah, if you like the content and wanna support the channel, definitely hit a like and subscribe and share. Coming back for more news on this series, because I'm definitely gonna be keeping a close eyes on this and reading through the book, and then probably doing a book review at some point. So thanks again for joining me tonight. You all have a good night and stay safe this week.